Welcome back to the Shacknews Awards. We are talking about the best old school throwback game of the year 2024. So here's how this works. It's a game or a collection that was released in 2024 that reminds us of old school games. And because Donovan wasn't even born in the 80s, retro now means like GameCube. So there's all sorts of stuff that will apply to what is considered old school, right, Donovan? Like,
That's true.
what
Poor
is old
Donovan.
school
Why
to
is he being
you?
singled out?
I was in high school. I had a driver's license when your old school was coming up.
I waited in line for a GameCube.
I almost nominated a 2007 game for this category until I played Dragon Quest III Remake. So you can.
Hallelujah.
I was bracing up to hit you all with that, but
That's the good news, though, is that even though he wasn't alive or even capable of playing some of these games when they first came out, Donovan was able to discover the Dragon Quest series and enjoy how great Dragon Quest 3 is.
Mm-hmm.
And now gets to enjoy it again. So here are the nominees. Tetris Forever, the interactive documentary from Digital Eclipse. Really making bangers out there. You talk about old school. You can play literally the first version of Tetris in this game. Dragon Quest III 2D HD Remake. Yars Rising. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics. Castlevania Dominus Collection. And Doom. Plus Doom 2. Honorable mention goes to Contra Operation Galuga and the Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. They just slightly missed being nominated here, but wanted to give them some love. So, Tetris Forever, pretty neat.
Very cool. Like
I don't know.
Think,
well, go ahead.
I think that these games are having them in one place in general is always a cool idea. Like, not all of them are bangers, obviously. There are some that are very similar to each other, but the Tetris Forever mode that they put in the game is so cool. Like
Time Warp,
making it, yeah. The Gauntlet mode, where like as you're playing through it, it just changes to whichever game that randomizes, and I just think that's a really neat concept of having to adapt your Tetris skills on the fly to whatever game it hands you next.
I will say this is the third best Tetris game on Nintendo Switch right now, in my opinion. I love Tetris Effect, and I also love Tetris 99. So I feel like right now Tetris fans are eating very well. And even with the Switch Online games, like there's some, you can play Tetris for Game Boy on there. But like, I hadn't played Hatris before. I hadn't played like a lot of these random ones. And also just the way that they interweave like actual storytelling of the origin of Tetris and like the licensing issues that they've had to go through over the years and how they've had to defend it and how they had the work they had to do to bring it to PC. All that's included in here. So it's like educational too. I do think it's like one of those things that you can just hand to someone and they can have a good time with. I do worry that it doesn't have the replay value of other Tetris games, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because those games, to your point, TJ, they're old. And some of them are weird. Like the first Tetris, it didn't even acknowledge when you cleared 4 lines. There's no sound effect or anything. So that's weird. But yeah, it's I think a really cool piece of history, and it fits in this category perfectly. So it's definitely a worthy nomination. I appreciate the work that Digital Eclipse does on these things, because you get goofy shit like the Tetris movie on Apple TV Plus, which is not a documentary and threw in a car chase for no reason. And then you have this, which is like real video game history and video game preservation. Because like I'd never been able to play the original Tetris, and this is cool. So yeah, definitely a worthy nominee. Donovan, you're the Dragon Quest stan of all stands on our staff. How good is this 2D HD remake?
Dragon Quest III 2D HD Remake is excellent. It looks a lot like the Octopath games. They use that same kind of art style, which I think is very beautiful. But I think what's cool is that they don't really change much at all about the original Dragon Quest 3. There's some like quality of life stuff in there, some better inventory and item management, which is all great. But it's more or less like the original late 80s Dragon Quest 3, which is, I mean, one of the godfathers of Japanese RPGs and just RPGs as we know them today. You know, it's kind of like your favorite RPG's favorite RPG, right? Where even if you haven't played it, you've played a game that was inspired by it or inspired by somebody else who was inspired by it. Still holds up great. I mean, what an all-star cast of developers behind this game and just the original run of that series with Koichi Nakamura, Yuji Horii, Akira Toriyama. And I think a lot of the work they did several decades ago still shines through because playing through it over the last few weeks, I'm like, man, I cannot believe how good this game still feels, how satisfying it is, how great the designs still look, obviously updated with modern visuals. But it still feels so brilliant in 2024, which I think is a testament to how timeless that
It's
game
also
is.
still balls hard, right, Donovan? Like it's still
It's
like one
very
of the harder
difficult.
RPGs out there.
Yeah, yeah. The Dragon Quest games are kind of always been like that, even up through 11, where they can be a bit grindy and challenging. Yeah, they do not hold your hand in those games. This one, I believe Lucas kind of called it out in his review. That one of the quality of life improvements in this one is they added a recall feature where you can like after you talk to a character, you can just hit a button and just save that conversation forever to just look back at because in those games, it's just so easy to get lost and forget where you're supposed to go, who you're supposed to fight, what you're supposed to do. And before these features existed, you just kind of were forced to squirm around until you found the solution. And then even like the boss fights and stuff, the difficulty spikes are pretty dramatic in that game, and a lot of that's preserved in this remake.
Nice. Yars Rising came out this year.
I think Atari has quietly had a pretty good year, and like Yars Rising was definitely like at the top of their list of their babies. And what this is like this is like kind of a reimagining of that whole Yars lore done by Way Forward. And Way Forward is like they're experts at their craft of making like games that feel like old school titles. Like this plays like an old school Metroidvania, but the main draw of this is you're getting through places by hacking, and hacking plays out like the original Yars games. And I want to pull out a quote from Lucas White's original review. Let me see what he says here. Let's see. You're playing Yars fed. In reference to the hacking quote. You're playing Yars fed through a cheese grater and mixed up in a tumbler with a WarioWare cartridge and a canister of G Fuel. That's a great description for it.
Yep.
And also, like, it pays a lot of respect to a lot of the other Atari franchises. There's a boss that's based on Missile Command, and there's little bits of pieces of Atari's lore sprinkled in there. And it's a great way to remember that Atari used to be a really good game company, and I think they're starting to get there again.
I think
they're not there yet, but they're trying.
To your point, though, Ozzy, they are making moves too. Like they acquired Night Dive, and I think that's been a brilliant acquisition for them because like they have the IP. Night Dive has the ability to really remake games. Obviously, Night Dive's core competency tends to be in first-person shooters, but like I think what they've done with Night Dive in the past few years has been impressive. And then this idea of let's take our IP and make new first-party titles or like whatever third-party titles out of them, I think is pretty neat. They have a lot on the table that they could do this with.
It's technically a first-party title because they also have their line of consoles, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, there's the VCS and there's the speaker hat part of the company, and then there's like the video game publishing part of the company. And I think the video game publishing is really kind of turning it around. Maybe they're a few years away from being our best comeback of the year, Ozzy. Like, but I think we'll look back.
Might even be nominated.
Yeah. Looking back though, I think Yars Rising is going to be one of those games we can point to as like here was a moment where Atari kind of figured out where their place is in this industry right now.
They've got an eye for talent. They knew to go to Way Forward because I mean, there's nobody better at tapping into old school dynamics than Way Forward right now.
Greg, when's I say when's, you say
wins what? Wins me? Wins
knock.
When Marvel.
Oh, what's Marvel? Where's Marvel? Where's Marvel?
Yeah, thank you. Where's Marvel or when's Marvel? Because at Evo, it's when's Marvel because we want to know when the top 8 for Marvel is. But yeah, I was trying to take you for a ride there. You apparently
I missed it. No, I missed it.
Yeah, the riot was missed on that one.
I was sitting there at the bus stop honking my horn at Greg. He did not get on the
I
bus.
did not get on the Marvel bus.
So now I'm gone. I'm down the highway and I have all these great fighting games in the collection. This is an outstanding collection. The Marvel versus Capcom Fighting Collection arcade classics. If you just told me you had Marvel versus Capcom 2 and 3 on here, that would be enough.
Just 2, honestly, would be enough.
Yeah, it doesn't
like,
have 3.
just that. They could have sold that for
It
$40
doesn't have 3.
alone.
Sorry, it has 2.
It's 2.
Sorry, but like you have 2 on here. That's all it needed.
Yeah.
You know, you could have just done that. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff on here. It runs well on all the consoles. It was fun watching Justin Wong terrorize the entire community across every platform. I think he became the number 1 player in the world on every online version of the game within 2 weeks of it shipping. This is just great. We mentioned it in another category, how Capcom and SNK working together was like, that bodes well. But also seeing this come out in the condition it's in, I think it bodes well for maybe Disney and Capcom working together on a new fighting game in that series. But this is just great news. And like, this ties up the Switch, I think, very well. Because like the fighting games on Switch have not been that great. There hasn't been a ton of support for it. Obviously, there's no like Street Fighter 6 on it. Mortal Kombat 1 is on Switch, kind of. In a way, it's like there. But yeah, to get this collection in the condition it's in, using, I think in a lot of cases, the Dreamcast versions of the games, great. Very solid collection and very cool.
Definitely a banger with the listing and like the actual options. Like, got like X-Men Children of the Atom on here.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
I want to understand why no crossplay. That's a weird decision to make. Like in 2024, right? These things come standard across all platforms with crossplay. And like, it's not like it's a small indie company, right? It's Capcom. Like, why was there not crossplay? Was it because they just didn't think it'd be worth it? Did it cost too much money? Could they not get to work with their contract issues? Did they just want people to buy it on PS4 and Switch? Like,
I think the collection aspect of it probably presents a problem.
Yeah, there had to be a reason.
Each game would need it. And also, like, we wouldn't get Justin jumping from platform to platform. If
You'd have to buy it. Wait, I had to buy it 3 times. Yeah.
Watching the Wasler, that was a very fun week for the FGC when that game came back, and just seeing people really get excited and back into that. I think it was a delightful release.
Just knowing you got all that stuff in one spot, at least, is always fun to see compared to me having to, like, you know, have my arcade cabinet in the back. You know, when X-Men versus Street Fighter and Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter and everything else is in one place. You even got the Punisher on this collection.
Yeah.
Why not?
Deep cuts. Some very deep cuts. Another collection. This got a 10 out of 10 at Shacknews. I think it's the first time a collection has received a 10. The Castlevania Dominus collection.
Yeah.
This is these DS games. Man, I hope this paves the way for how DS games can be ported to Switch or other places.
We were wondering up to this point, how do you even do that? How do you modernize a DS game for modern platforms? Because
Konami figured it out.
Like, how do you really make that work? And this made it work.
And that is a big task to do it with those games, because I've played through Portrait of Ruin and Order of Ecclesia. The bottom screen has a lot of information on it in those games.
Yep.
Translating the map and the equipment menus and all that stuff that used to be handled on that bottom screen that had to have been a little bit difficult, I imagine. And to see it come through so perfectly, I love those games, and I'm probably going to be playing the heck out of this one over break.
Yeah, what's Nintendo's excuse now since Konami can do it? That's the big thing that I'm wondering.
Oh no, I think Nintendo's sitting on like a treasure trove of intellectual property from the DS era.
Right.
Not unlike they were sitting on a very nice library of software for the Wii U heading into Switch, right? Like they were like, okay, let's pull on the Mario Kart string. Oops, we sold another 60 million units.
Oopsie.
It's like this generation coming up, I think Switch 2 may be the home for GameCube and DS ports. Because like we didn't get Wind Waker on Switch. And I think we will get Wind Waker on Switch too. And maybe it'll be even in 4K or something. But like the DS games, Brain Training, Flash Focus, like Dylan's Rollin' Western or Pushmo, like they have so many smaller games that you could price at maybe $20 or something. Like I think this kicked down the door for DS ports in a big way. Now, not every single game is going to translate well because there is the touchscreen element, but those games where it was more informational, to your point, TJ, like the second screen, I think those could all work with this philosophy of how to do it. So yeah, I think the Dominus collection, very worthy of this nomination, and harkens back to the age of good Castlevania games. Because Konami really kind of killed it on DS. So yeah, last but not least, how could we have this category without mentioning Doom? When Doom comes out in a year, it is inherently an old school throwback. But when you make new Doom and new Doom 2, that's different, right, David?
Yeah. I mean, I know what people have to be thinking. Like, what? A Doom re-release? Is this a day ending and why? But like, this is probably the best Doom release of all time. Like, first of all, if you owned one of the other Doom re-releases from like 5 years ago, you got this for free. So there's really no reason to try it. But also, like, you get every Doom single player game, including No Rest for the Wicked, which was previously Xbox 360 exclusive. You get Legacy of Rust, a brand new campaign with new enemies, new weapons. You get really creative achievements that challenge you to use the weapons in creative ways. It runs great on every system. I know this for a fact because I've bought it on every system. Actually, I didn't have to buy it because I already owned it on every system. I play a lot of Doom.
Was this the game that also was being shown running on a cartridge on the SNES, or is that a different game?
No, that's different. That's the actual Super Nintendo port of Doom, but they added Episode 4 to it. Yeah.
So that was the other bit of news out of QuakeCon, was they had a cartridge running Doom 2. So it's been a really weird year for Doom from a retro perspective.
It really has. And like, this is really like a complete package. Like, there's also a behind the scenes archive of material that was cut, including some of the new enemies are enemies that id had implemented in the Doom alpha from like the summer of 93 that then later got cut, which is pretty damn cool. So there's a historical slant to this as well. It's just really a complete package. And I would even say someone like Donovan or Sam, if you haven't had much experience with the classic Doom games, this is such a great point of entry because you can play them all in the best possible way here.
I mean, it's tough competition this year, but it's very, very worthy of the nomination. We mentioned Contra Operation Galuga, just barely missed our nominees, but we wanted to mention it. And also Nintendo World Championships NES Edition is another honorable mention. So let's get to voting. What do you guys say?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to start with Bill.
Doom and Doom 2.
Nice. Sam.
This is such a stacked category. And I'm really struggling here, but I think I'm going to have to go with the one that only got the 10 at Shacknews, and that's Castlevania. As much as I want to go for Doom, I'm so conflicted.
Tough.
It's a stacked category. When you have to leave Nintendo World Championships off of a retro category, you had a good year of retro releases.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The fact that they took DS games and put it on a Switch and then fixed one of the ones that a lot of people had trouble with back in the day, a lot of problems with it. Yeah. I don't know.
I think, no, it's very worthy of the vote and the nomination. Steve.
I'm going with yours.
There you go. And David, was Doom 1+2, was that Night Dive?
Night Dive, id, Machine Games, and what other
combo.
company?
Yeah, it was a combo. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. David, I'm guessing you're picking Doom?
It's got to be Doom.
Okay. Donovan.
Dragon Quest 3 2D HD remake.
Okay. Yeah, like Dragon Quest 3 is on this list. Like this is I don't think we could go wrong, really. These are some of the most iconic game franchises of all time here. TJ.
I'm gonna go with Dragon Quest.
I did that thing where my spreadsheet and my Discord are off. Denny.
This was a really hard one.
Yeah. I'm gonna show Marvel some love. I think it's deserves some love on that end. Even though I do agree with Sam as far as the Castlevania end goes, that 10 is strong.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Greg.
You know, TJ did such an awesome interview with the Doom +1-2 dev, who, TJ can correct me if I'm wrong, was one of the original people who worked on the games to begin with.
Yes.
That was such a cool interview. I have to go with that one because the process that goes through that is incredible, and like getting like with the documentary David did, like seeing that behind the scenes stuff is so cool. So I'm gonna go Doom 1 and 2.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying Yars for a second. Okay. TJ, you already voted. Ozzy.
I feel like this is getting really messy. I'm gonna go Castlevania.
Oh, it is gonna get messy.
Yes, it is.
That's how you
okay.
Make things interesting.
Oh boy. I could definitely throw a wrench into this. There's two, like I could do it two ways. If I vote for Doom, it's a win for Doom. If I vote for Dragon Quest, it's a tie, and then we'd have to revote.
Do a runoff. Get it.
If I vote for Castlevania, it's also a tie.
What do you think deserves to win?
What do you think deserves the tie?
Super Mario Brothers 2.
The only consideration what do you want to vote, not what chaos can you create.
What chaos?
No.
I'm trying to create
chaos. Let chaos reign. Let's go.
He is the benevolent dictator, Shacknews. I have the meme.
You vote with your heart and let the chips fall where they may.
Well, oddly enough, my heart rests with a game that no one else voted for.
Chaos, I understand. Let it rain. Let's go.
This is so hard. Every single one of these is great. Yeah, I don't have these are not bad. Sorry, what do you say?
That you said that this category is basically defined by Doom. I just want to.
It's like I just want to put it in there.
That's a good point, David. Did Doom 1 and 2 get the only 10 out of 10 out of the available nominees?
That's the thing that's stuck in my head.
That's fair.
That's the thing.
That's fair point.
That's the thing, Sam. It's just sitting there staring at me that this got a 10. This is the only collection in the history of Shacknews to ever receive a 10, and it's done something kind of brand new in the space. Whereas,
but also asked if Doom, mate. You know, come on.
Doom. Head-to-head action is strong though.
Doom.
You know what?
Doom.
I'm voting for Castlevania, and I'm doing it so that we can go head to head and just see who wins. Because now we have to have a vote off sudden death. So sorry to the Dragon Quest voters, TJ and Donovan. Sorry to the Marvel voter and the Yars Rising voter. So we have 4 people who need to revote.
Hey Steve, Doom runs really well on Switch. I'm just putting that out there.
Man, it's only day 1 and we're really already pushing.
It's Doom.
We're already
Doom
pushing
2,
the
final Doom.
Hey Steve, as much as I know that you love first-person shooters, have you heard of a little franchise called Castlevania?
I already know where I'm going with this. You don't even have to push it.
I'm just playing a little tug of war with David.
I know.
Okay, Steve, which one are you picking?
Sam may be the only one on here that knows how much I despise first-person shooters, so I'm going with Castlevania.
Yeah, yeah, I do. I knew that, Denny. Sorry, Marvel didn't make it, man.
That was a period.
Yeah, but I pointed out earlier that Castlevania deserves the love too. I'm definitely down to give it that vote. Even though Doom is Doom, yes, but I appreciate the love to win into Castlevania in this round.
Yeah, every game in this category did a great job.
Yeah,
absolutely.
like I love that this category is becoming stacked every year now. Like it's cool. That's a cool thing. It says something about the industry where it's at right now. But also like I'm just happy that Konami like is making games.
Yeah.
They're like
Or letting
hey,
other people
or licensing their IP out and letting
Yeah.
no, I don't mean that they're publishing games sometimes.
Yeah.
But like that they're doing that they acknowledge that they have good IP. Like, I don't know, Castlevania, especially those DS games. They were awesome. So Donovan, I'm sorry. Dragon Quest did not make the cut. Just barely.
You know, we all have our opinions. Doom.
Ooh. Okay.
You can tie this up again or not.
TJ.
Chaos reigns today.
No, chaos isn't going to reign today because my purpose in this vote was like, which of these games am I going to go running towards and play for like dozens of hours? It was Dragon Quest before this, and it was Tetris Forever also, but Castlevania, I like maxed every single one of the mage's spells in Portrait of Ruin, which took me like probably 500 hours to do, and I will absolutely go back and do that again. Those games are amazing, and I love them.
Shout out to your Elden Vania stream, mate.
Oh yeah. Thank God I didn't have to do that break the tie vote. But yeah. Look, Doom 1+2, awesome. If I was voting with my heart, I would have voted for Tetris Forever and Doom might have won. So I hope you're not too mad about that. But
no, I'm not mad at all.
It's that 10. It kept sticking out. Like the Tetris Forever is not a 10 out of 10 game. I'm sure there's a variant of Doom and Doom 2 that is a 10 out of 10 game that is in that collection. But what they did with Castlevania this year was special. And yeah. So congratulations, Konami. You have won the Shacknews Award for the best old school throwback game of the year 2024, Castlevania Dominus Collection.